Hi Scorpio, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, should I say, welcome to your first week ahead tarot with me over the course of this year. So for your key to the week this week, you have the Hanged Man card. It's really interesting. Like this week, a lot of the cards have kind of followed each other. So it's like the signs are sort of buddying up with the sign that comes after them or the sign that comes before them. So the reason I say this is because Libra had this same card, obviously in a different deck, in this same position. So I'm kind of like, there's something happening this week, I think, where a lot of people are going to partner up, buddy up. There's a lot of sort of knitting together. You're going to start to see, I think, just little connections being forged. Maybe not big, maybe not permanent, but certainly some of them will be. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up. Now, you've got the Hanged Man, all right? So this week, take your time. So the message that I've given to a lot of my clients for the first sort of month of the year, and now I'm giving to you because I also gave it to Libra, who also had this card in this position, is literally that. You know how like when you're on a plane, a bus or a train, like as soon as it lands or it stops, everybody rushes to the exit straight away. They all act like crazy people and it's like, you're gonna get off, just take your damn time, all right? That Hanged Man card is this week, all right? So your ruling planet in ancient astrology, at least, is Mars. Mars is currently retrograde, but it will go direct on the 12th of January. But we still have Mercury retrograde, the ruler of Mars at this moment in time, in Capricorn, which is also retrograde and won't go direct until the 18th. So what I'm saying to everybody is let everybody else get up and act like a moron and rush for the exit, right? And create a bottleneck so nobody moves anyway. Right? You get up at your leisurely pace once everybody's kind of done their thing and the crowd has dispersed, and you go at your own pace and your own sort of movement, all right? Now, the fact that you've got the Hanged Man here, there are likely to be delays, there are likely to be setbacks and hold-ups this week. There is also a potential for you deciding that you're actually going to take things, whether this is the direction of your life, a relationship, etc., in a completely different direction, or you are adjusting or adapting your course. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your actions and options this week, you've got the High Priestess coupled with the Hanged Man. I wouldn't be surprised if this week you are dedicating a good portion of your time to your spiritual path and or practice. If you've been with me long enough, Rafi is very proud of you, I have to say. This is 2023, right? I've been talking about this year since 2019. I did a webinar with Heather from Astrology with Heather. We did this together in at the very end of 2019 and coming into 2020. And I've been talking about this year and the weird and wonderful energy that it would be and why having a spiritual practice solidly in place by this point would absolutely be important. And it looks like you guys have not only listened, but you have excelled. So, hey, for the other thing with the High Priestess is your actions and options. For a lot of you, this might be a week where you're deciding to start really developing your intuition, which is great, right? Because your actions and options is about what you do. Now, you've got this with the Hanged Man. And so I am going to say to you this week, if there is something that's divulged to you that is a secret, consider the source, all right? I'm not going to say that they're a liar or they're a cheat or whatever, you know, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is consider the source. Why are you being given this information? Like if someone comes to you and says, oh my gosh, you know this happened and it was like it's a massive scandal and it's like, okay, that's fine. Excuse me, thank you for sharing, but why are you sharing this with me? What do you have to gain out of telling me this information? All right, just consider. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Knight of Swords. This is really interesting to me because Libra also had the Knight of Swords in this position, and interestingly enough, I used a different deck for them as well. So there's obviously something, again, like I said, this week the signs seem to be buddying up. It's like whatever's happening is happening for two signs at once. So interesting. For your communications, you've got the Knight of Swords. There is a chance here for a misunderstanding that really gets out of hand. I would be very mindful of this, especially if it's because of information that somebody else has given you. Again, consider the source. What does this person have to gain from telling you about this big scandal, this big, oh, you know, so not to talk shit or anything, but so-and-so said this about, I've never had time for people or things like that. I like to keep my trash on the TV, you know, like I watched some trash TV here and there. I like to keep my drama confined to that. I'm not interested in it for real life. You get me? Right. But be mindful of that this week. And because the Knight of Swords, I mean, communications and conversations. Listen, Scorpio, okay? I know y'all, right? So I've said to many people, don't put yourself in the firing line, because they will destroy you. They will find a way. They will wait. When they find that moment, that stinger is coming out and you will regret it. So if you're a cross watcher, just be mindful. Now, that being said, because of the confusion and the sort of not necessarily very clear energy, and potentially somebody lining something up for you to do their dirty work, you just want to be mindful, because if you go off half-cocked on something and you absolutely let rip and do the scorpionic thing, you're either going to burn a bridge or you're going to create a problem for yourself over something that literally either had nothing to do with you or is a complete fucking, excuse my language, but misunderstanding. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, then you've gone off on this massive kill mission, and for what? Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, I would keep your work and your project silent this week. All right, this is not, I mean, you guys do this really well anyway, but this is not a week to share your work with anybody, especially if someone says, oh, you know, I just want to get a glimpse or a glance at what you're doing. Don't do it. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, again, you know, office water cooler talk, gossip about, you know, that girl that always dresses this way or this guy that's always saying this, just don't get involved in it, because it'll escalate this week and it'll just be ugly and messy and for no reason. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this would be a week, especially like if someone says, oh, I've got a hot tip for you, or they drop a certain, just be mindful of the source of the information and why they're giving it to you. All right. And it's not to say, like, you know, well, I'm speaking to Scorpios. You guys are suspicious of everybody, especially people that are nice to you. I jest, but yeah, this is a week it is a week, I'm sorry to say, where I think you should have your guard up a little. All right. Now, when it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, this could very well be either a young person in your family or someone that comes to you for your help. And in asking you for your help, they're asking you to keep a secret, or potentially you are asking someone else to keep a secret. It's not that this person has no intentions of doing it, but it might come out because of a situation that they find themselves in. And whatever you are asked to keep silent or to keep secret may be a safeguarding issue. And so you're put in a very sort of, you know, between a very hard place and a rock this week, where it's like, well, shit, in order to keep you safe, I have to say something. But at the same time, I realize that's a potential breach of trust, and I need you to know that you can trust me. So you might find this week that you are in a little bit of a terse sort of situation. And I really hope that you find a way through it, you know, easily to navigate it. For your love and relations, you've got the Knight of Wands. So 2 knights represents intimacy. So for those of you that are single, I mean, look, it's potentially a very sexy week. If you're looking for prolonging that or turning it into more with this specific person, the energy probably isn't there for that. As well, this is probably a meeting of very, very different, very like, and not like opposites attract different, like space dust and, you know, cottage cheese sort of different. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just completely, I don't know why I gave that example, just ignore me. But you get my point. Now, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, there's two ways this could show up, right? One of them is potentially your partner divulges something to you that they haven't ever sort of said to you or ever said before. Maybe they suggest an open relationship, or they want to be poly, or no judgment either way. From me personally, that's one possibility, because obviously you've got the link here with the intimacy. Another way that it could show up, though, is that something that they say to you, you realise has either come from another source, or somebody has said something to you and now you feel like a little bit awkward around your partner. Be mindful this week of who's saying certain things or laying certain seeds or whatever. I don't know, there's someone stirring some shit this week. And, you know, if anyone ever is going to sniff it out, it will be you guys, which is probably why you have the High Priestess in the actions and options. But just know that it's a potentially, you know, iffy week. Then you've got the Seven of Wands in the money and materials. You know, they say follow the money trail. That may be the thing that reveals to you what this is actually all about. All right. Now, the Seven of Wands can be a challenge card, especially with the Knight of Swords. So not only are you holding your ground, but potentially a conversation or an argument could really get blown out of proportion this week. So just be mindful. All right. I'm just going to stand here like this so that you can kind of see the cards, because it's very bright here now. And when I started, it was like this dreary, ugly day. Be grateful for the sunshine. Now, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, the Seven of Wands is immune system stuff. And because you've got the Hanged Man here, excuse me, I will say this is probably a week where you realise that there is some, maybe there's a food that you're ingesting, maybe there's something in your environment that you're actually either highly allergic to or is not specifically good for you. So there's some realisation this week about why you're having a health issue, and it's like you're realising, okay, you know what? This thing is actually, maybe it's something I'm allergic to, maybe it's something that I'm eating that I didn't even know that I am allergic to, or have developed an allergy to. Not an analogy, for your home and environment, the Seven of Wands. This week, my dear Scorpios, I'm going to say this to you, right? Especially for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments. When shit gets intense like this, we close ranks, okay? Shut the world out, and whoever or whatever, put it to the side. And when they've got their moments or whatever, just, you know, once this week kind of passes, just use this week to observe, close ranks, and then, you know, kind of feel it out after that. I'm sorry I didn't have better news for you this week. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic, have as conscious a week as possible, and a revelatory week. Take care, and I'll see you soon.